If there is one thing that is true about Pokemon fans, it's that they make a lot of their own original content. From Fakemon to ROM hacks to simple fan art, Pokemon fans are very passionate and often like to create their own ideas that go along with their own vision for what the Pokemon world could look like. Most of the time, this fan content simply stays as fan content, but every once in a very, very rare blue moon, that fan content will cross over into the official domain and actually make it into the official games themselves. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. 5 times that fan-made Pokemon content actually became real and ended up in the official games. I actually made another video just like this a while back, but I really like the idea of it, so I decided to return to it today with some new examples that I didn't discuss in that previous video. This one is going to be a lot of fun, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I am really excited about today's video, but the truth is, it wouldn't be happening without the support in part of today's amazing sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped just recently dropped a brand new product, and it is their amazing Beard Hedger Pro Kit. This kit has everything you need to groom an amazing beard, from beard oil and beard balm to beard shampoo and conditioner, and even a really nice brush, comb, and scissors. And all of it is really nice and high quality, but the thing that really blew me away was the razor itself. This thing has a guard with 20 different length settings, which is kind of a crazy amount to be honest, but what really puts this razor in that upper echelon type of category is the fact that it has a built-in dial that allows you to access all of those 20 length settings on the fly with just one guard attachment, so you don't need a million of them for different lengths like you do with most other razors. I was sold on the razor and the entire kit the moment I opened up the box and saw it for myself, and I'm sure you would be too, so use my link in the description below to grab one for yourself today. And not only does this help to support the channel, but by using code HoopsVGM at checkout, you're also going to get 20% off plus free shipping. And from actually holding this thing in my hands, 20% off for something like this is kinda crazy, so hop on that while you can, and a big thank you to Manscaped for supporting the channel. This first one is a rather big one because it actually has to do with the event and the actual method of capture surrounding a mythical Pokemon. The mythical Pokemon Celebi is infamous for being associated with both the Ilex Forest and in particular the Ilex Forest Shrine. After all, it's where Celebi is found and can be captured in the in-game events that happen both in the original Pokemon Crystal as well as the Heart Gold and Soul Silver remakes. However, believe it or not, this event was actually 100% created by the fans. In a recent interview with Game Freak that was posted to their very own YouTube channel and was recently translated by Did You Know Gaming for their own video on legendary Pokemon, members of Game Freak actually revealed that the Ilex Forest Shrine event that has you encountering and given the opportunity to catch Celebi 100% came entirely from the fans. After the release of Pokemon Gold and Silver, you may remember personally hearing about some rumors involving Celebi and the ability to catch it at the Ilex Forest Shrine. There were a number of variants of this rumor, some of which I personally heard and tried myself to no avail, but it was very, very prominent at the time. However, as Game Freak mentioned in the interview, they're not exactly aware of where these rumors started, because in the original Gold and Silver, there is no association whatsoever between Celebi and the Ilex Forest or the Ilex Forest Shrine. There wasn't even any kind of allusion or hidden data to it because it's simply something that Game Freak did not come up with or implement into the game whatsoever. They continue to go on to say in this interview that it was only after the release of Gold and Silver where they began hearing these rumors that they actually thought that that was a pretty cool idea, and then subsequently took that idea and made it a real thing in Pokemon Crystal, where we first saw an actual Ilex Forest Shrine Celebi event. So the connection between Celebi and this shrine is entirely made up and fabricated by the fans, but the rumors were so prevalent that they actually became the real thing thanks to Game Freak actually taking an interest in all of the rumors that were circulating in the fan community. Next, we're going to take a look at a similar sort of event that, while it doesn't necessarily have the direct official level of confirmation that this Celebi situation has, it is an almost identical carbon copy of that Celebi situation, and therefore is very, very possible to have originated from the fans. Just like I am sure you have all probably heard a Celebi Elix Forest rumor at one point or another, you all probably also heard about the rumors surrounding Deoxys and Jirachi in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. In a nutshell, the rumors basically said that if you went to the Moss Deep Space Center after completing a various assortment of random tasks, that you would be able to board one of the rockets at the Space Center and be launched into space in order to be able to encounter Deoxys and or Jirachi. If this sounds like a ridiculous creation of the fans, that's because it absolutely is, and nothing like this whatsoever was ever included or planned for Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. However, once we got the remakes of these games, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you do actually get to go into space to face and catch Deoxys, except this time it's on the back of Mega Rayquaza instead of in a rocket ship from the Moss Deep Space Center. However, given the fact that you are actually going into space to encounter and catch Deoxys, just like those rumors back in the day said you would be able to do, and we now have this claim that the rumors that circulated around Celebi at the time of Gold and Silver's release actually were what caused that event to actually exist later on in Pokemon Crystal, it seems to be the case that this same thing might be happening with the Deoxys event in Pokemon Oraz, where it didn't exist in the originals, but due to the rumors, the developers actually decided to put it in the game when they made the remakes. Like I said, this one has not been officially confirmed as far as I know, but given all of these various pieces of circumstantial evidence, I think it's basically a foregone conclusion that it is in fact the case, which is pretty freaking cool. It's not just rumors, however, that have proven to actually be able to become the real thing in Pokemon games, because believe it or not, it seems to be the case that in one way or another, even Pokemon designs made by the fans can make their way into the official games. In fact, this sort of scenario happened pretty distinctively and pretty decisively in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where a couple of the brand new Paldea Pokemon seem to have been pulled directly from fan-made designs. For example, there are these two designs made by Bulbyboy on Instagram that almost identically resemble both Finizen and Palafin, with Palafin in particular almost being a one-to-one recreation of Bulbyboy's Pokemon. Additionally, the Pokemon Scovillain also seems to be a near identical one-to-one recreation of this Pokemon by Diego Monster Lab, also on Instagram. And while it is important to remember that things like this most of the time are just a coincidence, especially given how many fans are creating their own Pokemon, these two examples in particular seem to be a little too on the nose to just be a simple coincidence. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to say that Game Freak stole these designs, because we obviously have no idea what the actual origin story is for Palafin and Scovillain, and like I said, a lot of times this can just be chalked up to coincidence, so we would need to know the whole story to really know for sure, but as far as we can see as fans based on what we know, like I said, this seems to be just a little too on the nose to not mean anything. Moving along though, we are now going to shift gears a little bit and talk about something that is a little bit different to the previous things we have discussed in this video so far, but is still something that in my opinion very much qualifies as something that was made by the fans that actually became real. So I'm sure that most of you have probably heard of the name Toby Fox before, because Toby Fox is the guy that created the massively popular and critically acclaimed Undertale game, and he's actually someone who has become progressively more involved with Pokemon as well. He composed the battle music for the Battle Tower in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and more recently in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, composed themes such as the Area Zero theme and the Sada and Turo battle theme. However, Toby was much more of a fan of Pokemon, just like all of us, before he was actually involved in creating the games himself. Because when it was announced that he would be contributing to the soundtrack of Pokemon Sword and Shield, he actually wrote a special letter that detailed how all of this came to be, and it essentially amounts to the fact that he randomly found out one day that Go Ichinose, who is one of the primary Pokemon composers, was following him on Twitter, and so he just decided to shoot his shot and send Go Ichinose a message. This eventually led to them becoming friends, which eventually led them to having a meal together where Toby just asked out of the blue if he could compose a song for Pokemon someday, which Go and the rest of Game Freak agreed to. This is how Toby's battle music for the Battle Tower made its way into Sword and Shield, and this of course is how he eventually became more involved with the soundtrack in Scarlet and Violet and graced us with that beautiful Area Zero theme. But he obviously started as more of a fan than anything else, who was simply just trying to get the attention of someone that he really admired in the industry. And I think the fact that that is something that has actually happened for Pokemon is really, really cool, and it has obviously paid off really, really well for both Toby and Pokemon. However, it's not just the music of the games that one-time fans have gotten the chance to create for Pokemon games, because even Pokemon designs themselves have actually been created by people who were at one point just Pokemon fans. In an interview for the promotion of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the game's director and longtime Pokemon producer Junichi Masuda talked a little bit about Meltan, as Meltan was a new Pokemon that debuted with this title. In the interview, Masuda gives a little bit of background on Meltan and how it came to be, and amongst other things said, quote, "I gave some specific setting directions to one of our designers who was also a fan of the original games and played them as a kid. So he had a really good idea of what I was looking for, based on this kind of very simple metal nut design. He definitely probably had the original Kanto Pokemon designs in his mind and tried to keep it as simple as possible." So, in short, Meltan was designed by someone who actually started out as a fan of Pokemon before they actually worked at Game Freak and got the chance to work on the games, and according to Masuda, played the original games as a kid and therefore probably was just a kid when Red and Blue first came out. Masuda doesn't mention the name of this designer, but thanks to some simple deduction, it has been figured out who the person behind Meltan's design most likely is. As is mentioned on Bulbapedia, 2 people are credited as Pokemon character designers in the credits of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. These people would be Masaki Hashimoto and Hironobu Yoshida. Yoshida has actually been with Pokemon and worked on Pokemon games since Pokemon Yellow version, so it is most likely the case, since this mysterious designer played the games as a kid before becoming a developer, that it is in fact most likely Masaki Hashimoto who designed Meltan and is that fan in question. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are the first games that Hashimoto worked on, but since has worked on Sword and Shield, Masters EX, Legends Arceus, and Scarlet and Violet, being credited with concept art creation and Pokemon and character design. Meaning that, according to Junichi Masuda anyway, someone who started out as a kid just being a fan of the Pokemon games themselves has actually gone on to create actual Pokemon designs for the games even to this day. With that said though, those are just a few times that fan-made Pokemon content actually became the real thing. If you want to check out even more examples, you can check out that aforementioned video that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and if you liked this video, be sure to leave it a like and subscribe for more if you're new, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. With that said though, I will be back with another video as well very soon, so once again, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it, and until then, as always, I will smell you guys later.